So let's dive into his film, Ryan, and take a peek at Joe Otting's film. And it doesn't take us long to get to the part you talked about where you see the violence and just the physicality and the athleticism of this young man.
Oh man, I feel so bad for these kids because for
Like,
people that don't know, he plays at Hayden High School that's in Kansas. So not playing the highest level of football, but man, I feel like this is just a pancake
look at this kid's
express.
chest. Like the kid's chest goes back.
Yeah, he's got some natural power to him, which is really nice to see for a guy that needs to fill out. Like there's core strength there to work with.
Mm-hmm. He down blocks this guy off the screen. And again, look, we understand he's playing against not great competition. And that's part of the reason you need to get this kid on campus and size him up and see how he moves and all that kind of stuff. But here's another note that I have, Ryan. Finisher.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He does a lot of that stuff right there.
Yep.
So as talk people through, Ryan, just kind of talk people through like, what the athletic aspects of it and just the different things you see from this kid to make you like him as much as you do.
Yeah, I mean, you see the initial explosion out of his stance, right? Like I think that there's explosiveness through his hips. The one thing that I always look for when I watch, especially interior offensive linemen, is when you make contact. You're always taught to run your feet through contact, but there's some guys that just the natural power through their hips just transfers so effortlessly, and that's where that athleticism is for me. Like this kid is a powerful athlete. It's not just that he's fleet of foot, which he is. He can work to the second level and laterally really well. But you can tell when he makes contact, he's got easy power through his hips. He can just roll through it. I mean, look at this working in space. It's not easy. I played offensive line in high school. It is not easy tracking down a linebacker or a safety or second level defender in space, but he makes it look so effortless for a guy his size, which we're talking aiming points, of course. There's technique to it. There's good eye discipline, all those things. But if you're not a good athlete, you're going to miss your target more often than not. And this kid, I think the athleticism just pops on film, whether it's as a nimble athlete and whether it's like jet lat right there, where you see that hit power being able to roll through contact.
I think the thing that you notice too in this film is you're going to see the kid line up at 3 different positions. I mean, he's played right guard, and left tackle. When you watch some of the game film, the kid shows up and he's playing right guard and left guard in the same game. Because that's what some option teams will do. They'll have like the quick side, strong side, so it's like based on what the call is, depending on where you're going to go. The fact that he can switch between right-handed and left-handed in the middle of the game too also says a lot about this kid's dexterity and this kid's, just the fact that he can play with both hands, and it just adds to his versatility and those type of things. I mean, he's got a lot. I mean, right there, is that him, H back there? Yes.
Yes.
No, that's him at tackle. That's left tackle, but he's just off the ball. But yeah, I mean, you see it. You see the kid doing a lot of different things in the middle of a game, and he's a talented kid. Again, just the only concern is, can he fill out? Can he get to the necessary size? And and that's why his ranking is understandably going to be lower than some other kids in the class because he doesn't have that body type. But this is the kind of kid. I said it about Ashton Craig last year. This is the kind of kid. I said it about Joe Alt the year before. He goes to Iowa, and where I was wrong about Joe Alt is this part of it. Goes to Iowa. You don't hear from him for 2 years. And the next thing you know, out of nowhere, the kid's a first team all Big Ten player.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, that's what Iowa and Wisconsin have been making just a living off of for years is exactly this kind of player, and that's what I think Joe Otting brings to the table. He's just that typical kid. That's what he say. You can say whatever you want about the rankings, but when Kirk Ferentz and Harry Hiestand want a kid, I'm paying attention.
Yep. And he's a kid too, Brian, where although he's playing at a lower level, it seems like he really is coached pretty well, man. Like his aiming points are pretty good. His ability to work in space, angles, everything looks pretty solid in that regard too.
And this is some clips of him on defense, obviously. I like that quickness off. I mean, he's not a defensive player, right? But like, this is a nice first step for a kid who's going to project as an offensive lineman. He's a really athletic, talented football player. Like look at that move. Like look at that. The change of direction here is again for a kid that projects as an offensive lineman is what we're talking about here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love guys that play both sides of the football, man. That just tells you. I mean, it translates, right? Because it's like this kid is the best player on his team, and that translates. I talked to the coach, and he said, Brian, that he's had one kid that's going to Kansas State. He's had one or two, I think, that went to Air Force. This is the highest
Mhm.
level kid that he's ever had. So this kid is
Right.
playing a man amongst boys at his level.
Watch this hand play. He rips this, smacks this guy's hand away, then rips through. Like that requires some some quickness. Smack his hands away, then rip through is not an easy thing to do.
Nope.
Again, it's about hand speed. And I'll say this too, Ryan, and you can, oh goodness, you can see it here. He's not a really super long guy, but he doesn't have short arms either. For an interior
No.
guy, his length is to me a plus as an interior player for me, as an interior player for me,
Right.
because you don't want a guy whose arms are too long, and you don't want a guy whose arms are too short inside, right? Because the too long as a center, it's not an issue at guard as much, but as a center, you can have too long arms, and honestly, I think that's been a bit of an issue for Jarrett Patterson at times. Is when because he has a high number of snap infractions because it is a longer process for him because he's a long guy. Like I think he has like tackle length in my opinion. I won't be shocked if he has length that makes some people,
30.
gee, could this, yeah, could
Yeah,
he play
like
tackle?
33 and some odd inch arms. Yeah, I wouldn't be
Right,
shocked
right.
either. Yep.
You also don't want like a guy with like really short, alligator arms either. You want a guy that's got that, and I think Joe has that. Like Sam Mustafa had pretty decent length for a 6'2" guy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, but it wasn't too long, and I think Joe brings a lot of that to the table. So we're gonna pull up the basketball film, Ryan. Don't worry. I'm pulling it up now. So we're gonna see we're gonna see the kid playing basketball. This is
I think I watched this first, Brian. I was so excited
yes,
about it. I'm pretty sure I sent this
yeah.
one to you. Yeah,
And then you went disrespected his points per game in the article. His mom was not happy
it's
about that, which was
Mac. You
hilarious.
blame
She
blame
was
Max
so
Preps on
sweet.
that.
She was so nice about it too. She was like, we're joking, like she's busted your chops. She really didn't. She was like, hey, just wanted to let you know, like, right. She thanked us for the article and really appreciated we gave him respect and, didn't just hammer him. Oh, why are they all from the 3-star kid? It was very kind and she go, and just by the way, the 8.6 points per game was his sophomore numbers. He actually averaged 15.5 last year. And when you found out she was a hooper in college, like, okay, now I understand why she took that a little bit. So let's get to some.
Might have to get Mrs. Otting on the podcast one day.
There you go. She'll school you on hoops and stuff. So let's watch. So the reason we're popping in the high school basketball film is because we want you guys to watch his feet and the athleticism. Like this is a very coordinated, very skilled, coordinated kid. Like it's an impressive deal. And you can see the attitude on the basketball court as well. This is him coming on defense.
One thing we didn't mention too, Brian, is that he is a basketball player as well. So, immediately, I'm pretty sure that the coach told me he's up to around 270, 275 pounds just after basketball season, right? Like that's where guys usually add a ton of weight. Basketball probably keeps his weight down for him.
I want to show these last two clips again. You see the length here when he goes for this ball with this, this little bit of a high. Look at that length. Gets down, comes back up. This is another example of just the agility that and the skill, the coordination that this kid has. Like,
oh man, I love the footwork in the post, man. I love it.
Popping threes, money. Yeah. Yep. Money. Look at that stroke. Bam.
It's clean, man. It's clean.
Yep. Very skilled. Again, you see the athleticism here. Another three. Bam. You can't leave him open. And look, he leaves it up there for a minute. I love this kid's got some swagger. Like, okay, I'm just gonna let that hang up for a minute. Let everybody know you shouldn't have left me. Oh, I got this. Very quick, very agile kid. Stop leaving him. Come on. Do you guys not read your scouting reports? Come on.
He's got really good footwork in the post, though, man.
Does.
You see that foot quickness, and he's a really smart player. Like he just has really good skill as a basketball player.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, come on now. You're not blocking that shot. Look at that spin move. I mean, we're being serious now. Like this is the foot quickness that we're talking about, right? Like that requires quickness, agility. It requires athletic skill. This isn't just, you know what I mean? Like, oh, do you see that? That was a buzzer beater. Watch this. See the clock going down? Gets it off quick, buzzer beater to win the game. Well, at least to put them up. It looked like it was 41-40. Little pick and roll, pop it out. Got to get out. Come on, y'all. Read your scouting reports. Oh, look at that. No look pass.
Oh yeah.
Dig it.
Oh, love it. Oh,
Dig
to
it.
the lefty in the corner too. Oh man.
Mhm.
And I know we're having a little fun here, obviously, but this stuff does
Right.
matter. I mean,
It
coaches
does.
love
It
multi-sport
does.
athletes. They love it.
Yes. Well, and it just gives you, and Harry Hiestan's been known in the past when kids played basketball to go show up at their basketball games because it allows you to you see their conditioning level. Does this kid run up and down the court 5 times and he's tapping out, where he needs a breather? Is after a couple minutes of on film, is he kind of the last guy down the court? What kind of motor does he have? And then, of course, you see the footwork, you see the hand-eye coordination. There's a lot you can learn about a kid athletically. It doesn't necessarily translate to football specifically, but it gives you a sense of what he can do athletically and
Sure.
from a competitive standpoint and from a conditioning standpoint. Because obviously you got to be in pretty good shape to play basketball.
Mhm.
And the point is, if this kid's 260 playing basketball and he's lumbered up and down the court and he's got every 3-4 minutes he's tapping out, then that kid's going to struggle to put on 300 pounds and be able to play college football, right? And that's why that matters. Where if a kid can be 260 and he's averaging 15 and a half points a game, he's on the court, he's running up and down the court, he's driving to the hoop and those type of things. And okay, this is a kid that can handle putting on some weight because he's a really good athlete. He's in great shape, so he can handle that weight a lot better. So no doubt about it.
Mhm.
So it's a very skilled basketball player as well. So we just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of a taste of some of his basketball skills. So just so athletically you could see what this kid brings to the table. Now again, the same question that we had at the beginning still exists now, and that is going to be whether or not Joe can fill out and be 290 plus, 295 plus. Those are questions, but we can't answer those today. Those are going to be answered over the next couple of years. But what we can address and what there is to like is the fact that this kid athletically is very skilled athlete and a lot of power, as we saw from the film. So I think those are all fair questions. And again, like I said before, I mean, he had offers from his region. He had all the right offers, right? Iowa State, Notre Dame, Nebraska, Kansas State, all the right schools that you want to make sure the kid has offers from. He has offers from, right? And
And I mean, can we talk about for a second the fact that we talked about him playing at a lower level of competition in Kansas? That also means that there's not as much exposure for him too. So people
right.
always say like 3-star, 3-star. Sometimes if a player isn't from a great region or isn't from a school that produces a lot of talent, they get a little underrated. I don't
Hmm.
I just don't see how you can watch this kid and not think that he's a 4-star caliber player. I just don't
Right.
agree with that.
Right. So that is Joe Otting, everybody, from a film standpoint. There's a lot to like there. Again, on the football field, there's a lot to like. On the basketball court, there's a lot to like. This isn't a kid that's a really good at basketball player that you got to kind of project for him to play football. He's great at both. And I think it just kind of shows his athleticism. I believe, did I also see that he does some track stuff, like some throws, or am I confusing him with somebody else?
I think he does. That's usually a
Okay.
little through
Yeah.
thing that they usually do. I'm gonna look it up, but I'm pretty sure he's a shot putter if I remember correctly.
So yeah, so that is Joe Otting. Now look, I understand it. Not a sexy pick. If you're someone who looks at that, I'm not criticizing. I understand it. I understand the other aspect of people say, well, he doesn't have any big offers, and they're going to talk about Alabama and Ohio State. I get all that. As I've said before, though, the offers that can matter most to me are the offers that involve schools that are really good at developing that position. And when you look at that position, this is a kid that to me is a it checks all the right boxes in my opinion.